Hey guys, Brett here, connecting from UbiCentral, and today I'm joined by Jonathan Dubsky, the voice actor for Josh in Watch Dogs 2. How are you doing?
I am doing splendidly. Brett, how are you today?
I am doing great. It's nice to finally have you on the channel. As most of you watching probably know, Josh is like the character I'm looking forward to learning more about in Watch Dogs 2, so I'm just beyond excited to have you on for an interview.
I'm excited to be here.
Well, that is good. So, just starting things off, I wanted to ask, did you know that you'd be working on Watch Dogs 2 before you got the role of Josh?
No, actually, it was really funny. A lot of the times when you audition for games in particular, you don't really know what you're auditioning for until you have the job and you're there and you find out. So it was pretty much the same thing this time around. A series of auditions. You're auditioning for a character you don't really know much about on a project you don't really know anything about, and then you find out.
Yeah, see, like, I spoke with Sean, and his story was a bit different because he worked on the first game, and then he got to work on the second one because he kind of knew people as well.
Oh
So,
yes,
like,
Sean is very well connected. This is true.
yeah, so, like, what was your reaction when you found out that it was Watch Dogs 2? Like, did you already know about the franchise, or did you have to, like, look it up after?
Well, I'm a pretty avid gamer, and I knew a lot about the franchise. It's not a game I had played, but I do remember the moment that I found out about the game, and that was when they had brought me to Montreal to do my facial scan and kind of prepare everything for the sessions we were going into for the cinematics. And Lars walked me into his wherever we were working at the time, and he showed me some images of my character, and he's like, "This is Josh," and I'm like, "Oh wow, that he looks really great. What what game is this?" And he was like, "Nobody told you?" I'm like, "No, I don't have a clue. I just showed up." And he's like, "It's Watch Dogs 2." I was like, "No way, that's crazy, man." And he's like, "Yeah, I can't believe you didn't know." I'm like, "No, not a clue." Um, I didn't know much about Watch Dogs, the first one. I knew kind of what the gameplay was like. I really did enjoy games like Grand Theft Auto 5, so right away I knew that this was something that was going to be really cool. It was about hacking, open world adventure, but not much more than that, to be honest.
So, did you ever, like, go back and play the first one, or look up just reviews or anything like that? Read
Yeah,
about the
yeah,
first game?
it's exactly that. Like as soon as I found out what game it was, I didn't have access to a system that could play Watch Dogs 1 at the time. Um, Mind you, I do have a computer, so that's absolutely no, that's a garbage excuse. Completely axe that. But I did read up a lot about it, and I wanted to see, what people thought about the first game and the reactions, and there seemed to be a couple of things that people wanted to see improved. Comments about the driving, about the characters, and whatnot. And so going into this, I kind of had this idea of what people wanted to see changed, and I think I kind of speak for the entire cast when I say that. I think everybody knew at its core what this game needed to be in order to please the fans that played the first game. And I mean, we'll wait to see if it's delivered, but I have incredible faith that they will be very pleased.
And like I mentioned earlier, like, I'm so excited to learn more about Josh. Like, I honestly feel like he will be that character that just surprises everyone. And so, like, for you personally, since the reveal of the game and all the way to now, like, what has the response been so far for your character?
I mean, it kind of like what you described. A lot of people they saw this other member of DedSec that they didn't know much about, and I guess a lot of people were curious. And being under certain NDAs, you can't really say anything. You want to be able to interact with the people and tell the fans more about it, but you got to keep a tight lip. But I mean, the reactions were really, I don't know, good. They were curious. People
Yeah.
wanted to know more. I was excited for them to finally get that when they were able to divulge that information, and just kind of wait to see as people, got a little bit more on the character, what the reactions would be like. And he seems to have a little bit of a following, so I think that's really cool. And I'm excited to see how people feel when they learn more about him. Yeah, what's
And and like I mentioned in the last interview, you guys made this whole like thank you video. You being the voice actors and the developers, and I remember you also like shouted out all these fan artists too.
yeah. Yeah, it's been, oh my goodness. I mean, you've seen some of the stuff that's been posted on Twitter. Now, granted, I have never been. I'm an avid gamer. I've never followed a game to the point where I've been aware of the kind of following certain games have, what kind of artwork's been created for what games. But this being kind of my first experience through it, I can't imagine it gets much better than this. I mean, we got people on a daily basis drawing new things, coming out with new gifts, or creating cosplay and wardrobe. I mean, the wrench, the mask, the number of people trying to develop the technology and literally build it in their own homes and workshops. Seeing people go together to certain events dressed as a group they have yet to really meet. It's overwhelming, and I don't know what to say more than it's incredible. It absolutely blows me away.
And I have to mention, I kind of did before this interview started, but there is like a Watch Dogs Discord chat, and a lot of people talk about how hot your character is. So I just wanted you to know that.
Well, the reason for that is because I think a portion of his physique was largely based on mine.
Oh yeah.
And with that comes I can't keep going with this. This is absolute garbage. But if that's true, then I think Josh is pretty cute. I'm gonna have to agree with your friends in the Discord.
Well, isn't he like kind of based around you in a way because all the mocap and stuff?
Yeah, I mean, definitely there are going to be certain mannerisms. I don't know how much likeness they do, or how much of that is purposely done, but I definitely can. I watch some of the cutscenes and I recognize Ruffin and Marcus, and I recognize a bit of me and Josh, and I see Tasia in Satara. Unfortunately, the wrench, you don't see it as much, but it's all Sean. So like you can't help but kind of picture the actors that you've been creating this with when you watch these cutscenes.
Now, for those watching who may not know much about your character because he is kind of mysterious and always like in the back, can you give us a description of him and his role within the game?
Yeah, I'll try. I mean, Josh is he doesn't he's Josh went through quite a few versions until we kind of discovered what Josh was. But at the end of the day, he became an Asperger's computer hacker who works with DedSec and is the brains behind the outfit. He's the guy who is able to create magic on the computer and solve problems that I guess the average hacker would find too difficult. He has a special connection with machines in ways that he can't connect with real people, so he finds a lot of solace and comfort in the logic that is binary. And I guess his place in the group is really that he is the individual who can solve the challenges presented to the group that would otherwise be impossible and create a complete roadblock for them.
I remember like one of the developers said Josh is like he's the guy who solves a problem before the team even knows like there's a problem. And like once I heard that, that's what I knew like he would be like a special character because we haven't heard much about him, and just like it's insane because they're already talented hackers and Josh is already there and like he's in the background, but he's also more experienced than them in a way.
Yeah, and also I think Josh has the ability to kind of see the logic train and follow one thing through to another and where it will eventually lead. Instead of getting into discussions about it, he's already, calculating.
So I'm curious, do you have any major similarities to him?
Um, Similarities. Wow. I would say like more differences than similarities, but I guess no, there's definitely some similarities. I think he and I share definitely a level of social anxiety to a certain extent. And I think a lot of people these days kind of feel that with the advent of social media, and it seems to be an epidemic. But I definitely feel that to a certain degree. Let's see.
Are you good with computers?
I'm not.
Okay.
I have been notoriously good at destroying the machines that I've owned in very short periods of time, rather quickly. My brother describes it as this kind of negative aura around electronics, or like some kind of polarity that destroys machines. So I rely on these machines very much. I use them every day, but they are the bane of my existence.
Are you like a problem solver like Josh?
I am definitely, I would say, to some extent, yeah. I mean, I'm very much of an emotional person. I can be quite impulsive, but I am very introspective. I do like to think a lot, and I question and challenge everything that I can when it's presented to me. So I think, I definitely take the time to think. Well, I like to think I take the time to think about things the way Josh does, but I mean, yeah, somewhat.
So, did playing the role of Josh, like, did it kind of come naturally, or was it something that came over time and like, as you learned more about him, you started to, like, realize who he was, or just did it come from the start?
Yeah, so I'll go back a bit to the way Josh was kind of um, conceived. Before Josh is the Josh that we're going to learn about in Watch Dogs 2, he went through quite a few different versions. At first, I was playing a guy who was a YouTube kind of celebrity type personality who would put out videos and get a following, and he kind of had more in similarity to Wrench in terms of the energy and the character they were going for. And then on the very last round of auditions, they were like, okay, now we want you to play a dragon. And it was like, oh, okay, now they want this completely different character, completely different world, different personality, different persona, Asperger's. So I had to kind of dive into this world that I knew very little about. So creating Josh was definitely a slow and interesting process. I had been a camp counselor for many years in Montreal, where I got to be a counselor to many different children between the ages of 6 and 12. And I definitely had a few kids who were somewhere on the spectrum of autistic. I had Asperger's. And so there were certain traits that I remember dealing with and certain personalities that I remember dealing with that I kind of brought to Josh. But I think the most important thing for me in terms of creating the character, besides the work that the writers had done to create this fully living thing, was a book that I'd read called "Look Me in the Eyes" by John Elder Robinson, and it's essentially a book about how he'd only discovered later in life that he was Asperger's, and it's a memoir recounting his entire life from childhood, now making sense of it, now that he knows he had Asperger's. So he would basically go through all the different ages of his life and recount certain events and make sense of it. So it kind of gave me a lot of groundwork in terms of understanding a bit more of the psyche, a bit more of the physicality, a bit more of, the social anxiety, the way his brain worked, the way he thought about certain things, his level of manipulation with information, the way he spoke, the way he looked at people or didn't when he spoke. A lot of that kind of eventually formed my interpretation of Josh and made its way into his performance.
Well, I'll leave a link to that in the description, so if people want to check it out, you can do so. And one thing I mentioned a bit earlier is, like, you also did mocap. You didn't just, like, voice your character, and, like, all the voice actors did. So, like, what was mocap like? Because in some of the Ubisoft videos, you could actually see yourself in the green suit doing mocap. So, can you tell us, like, what that was like?
Yeah, I mean, well, first and foremost, we wear those to be as flattering as possible. The technology comes secondhand. But no, I mean, yeah, it definitely took a few, maybe like a half day or 30 minutes to get kind of used to the feeling of this tight suit. But eventually, you just kind of forget that it's there, and all you're really left to do is the work and trying to bring life to whatever you're and truth to whatever you're doing. Um, that being said, the helmets were a bit of a challenge. Sometimes we would have scenes where we'd get very close to one another, and you forget about the perimeter, the distance you need to keep from one another. Otherwise, you kind of hit and run into each other. So there was that. But honestly, at the same time, I think mocap and performance capture is a godsend for actors. It's essentially a job that doesn't, you don't need to look a specific way. You can, be from any walk of life, and it's a 9 to 5. So you have a job that doesn't require you to look any particular way, and you get to have a regular schedule. So it's really, it's like the greatest thing.
And how long, if you remember, like, did you voice your character for? Like, how many months? And, like, can you also talk about, like, mocap? Like, how much of it you actually ended up doing?
So yeah, I mean, we basically shot what was called the cinematics. So like all the cutscenes that you see when you play and you lose control of the player. We shot all that stuff over, I think it was about 6 weeks. at the beginning of 2016, as well as the mocap. And yeah, I mean, in terms of my involvement with Josh, I basically did all the movements of Josh in the cinematics. And yeah, yeah.
Now, switching things up, I asked Sean this as well. Like, who is your favorite character in Watch Dogs 2 if you had to pick one besides yourself?
T-Bone.
Oh, see, Sean actually didn't give an answer. Like, he just said everyone.
No,
So,
no, everyone's amazing, but the
yeah.
reason I say T-Bone is because of the actor who plays T-Bone. This guy, John Tench, he is like a creature from another universe. He has this ethereal aura. He is so fascinating, and he kind of brings that to his character, and you can't look away. So, like, here we are sitting in the volume with our mocap suits on and our helmets on, and then John walks in and just does something that just, like, I just want to listen to this guy tell a story for the next 2 weeks. So, like, I think I'm partially biased to that, and I think, T-Bone is like the rock star of the game. He's the Captain Jack Sparrow, and that's awesome.
When people saw him in that thank you video, everyone said he looks exactly like T-Bone, and it's so true.
He does. He absolutely does. Like, John Tench and T-Bone are the same person. It's amazing.
I have to like get him on this channel for an interview as well because like you and Sean both have said so many good things about him. Like he got his own DLC in the first game. So
yeah, and rightfully so, man. John, he's a trip. He's an incredible human being, and like he's the actor you want to work with.
And last but not least, what has been your favorite experience or moment working on Watch Dogs 2, if you can think of just one?
It's not. It won't be terribly exciting, but I mean, this for me has been the greatest opportunity so far in my career, and I just can't think of a better way of going through this than being surrounded by the people that I got to work with. I developed really close friendships with Ruffin, with Tasia, Sean, John, Chris, Ashley, Michael, Xavier, and these are friendships, that I'm going to have hopefully for the rest of my life. And we legitimately enjoyed each other. Like we had a great chemistry on and off set, and we just, I don't know, I couldn't ask for a better group of people to have gone through this with. And not, not to forget the people at Ubisoft, everyone that worked with us inside the volume. It was like this gigantic family. And it felt like no other project I'd ever worked on before. And to be honest, it's going to be hard to beat it because it was just love day in, day out.
And like, what's going through your mind right now? Because the game is releasing in less than a week on consoles, and then later this month on PC. Like,
okay, you want the
what are
honest
you feeling?
response?
Yes.
The honest response right now is that my armpits are wet. And I'm wondering if I put deodorant on because I'm nervous, but I'm so excited. I'm a gamer. I can't wait to play it. And I know, and I'm confident that this team, these actors, this company have brought something really special.
Well, Jonathan, thank you so much for coming on. Is there anything that you want to plug, like your Twitter, website, anything like that?
I mean, yeah, you guys can follow me on Twitter. What's my handle?
Is it just at your name?
I think so. You can look me up, Jonathan Dubsky. It's at, yeah, you know what? It's at Jonathan Dubsky. Okay. I'm really trying to get active in Twitter. I love being around the fans and meeting new people and just having chats with random people from all over the world. And yeah, you can contact me there. You can play the game, and maybe if we're lucky, we'll find each other somewhere in the Watch Dogs 2 world playing together.
Well, I'll put your Twitter in the description as well as the title, so definitely follow Jonathan. Yeah, you are extremely like active on Twitter. All the voice actors for this game are. It's insane. Like, I just see people, like, I'll be tagged in the tweet as well, and they're just saying like, thank you, like, I can't wait for this game, and you guys always respond. Or
but it's so much fun. Like, and how can you not get involved? It's just an amazing experience, and you get to meet so many great people.
Yeah, like, I feel the same way just with YouTube. Like, when people say, really good job on the video, or just tweet at me, it's like I have to respond, like, because without the fans I wouldn't be here.
That's exactly right. That is exactly right.
Well, thanks again for coming on. Any last words?
Um, Man, I'm excited. I can't wait to play it, and I really hope that this game is everything you guys want it to be and more. And if you want to talk about it, express yourself. You have concerns, voice it. Ubisoft listens. We care about it. They care about it, and this thing's going to be great.
All right, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you all later.
Thank you. Bye bye.